You're listening to Faith, Relationship, and Community Podcast, where we talk about all things faith, relationship, and community. My name is Noah. I'm the lead pastor of Morningside Lutheran Church. Today, I sit down with Pastor Paul as we talk about and reflect on his experience here at Morningside Lutheran Church growing up and his role today as executive pastor. So here we are.
I know.
Very good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm swell. How are you?
I'm doing well, Paul.
Good.
That's good. So, okay, let's jump in.
Okay.
How long have you been on staff here?
Okay. I've been on staff. I was officially hired August 15th, 2006. So,
a long time.
Yeah, 20 years in August.
What color was your hair when you started?
It was darker.
Yeah.
I actually have a picture I'd like to show you of one of the first events I did here.
Okay.
Charity's in it too. I didn't ask her if we could put this in, but
okay, yeah.
I'll deal with that.
Explain the picture.
We're at Sunshine Music Festival.
Love it.
One of the first events I got to do as a student ministry director. Title has changed for me a lot over the years.
Yeah.
I was hired as the high school youth director in 2006. And so I took kids to Wilmer, Minnesota for a Sunshine Music Festival and got to eat some Doritos, which I think this picture shows. And you can tell that Charity is still trying to figure out what she got signed up for, right. Being married to me. But
like going there to Sunshine and being married to you and just life in general right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. In the matter of August, September, October of 2006, started here, September of 06, we got married. In October of 06, we bought our first house. And so for really the first 3 weeks of our marriage, we lived in the middle school director's house here, Kurt Kobus. We lived in his basement as a newly married couple. So
nice. Okay. That's a good way to start.
Yeah. We figured if we make it through the first 3 months, we'll make it through anything. And 20 years later, here we are.
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So, okay. Sunshine, what year would that have been when you first took, you said 2006?
Yeah. So in 2006, that summer, I guess I was still a volunteer. So it would have been July.
Okay.
And then maybe the picture in my old age is actually from July of 07. So I might have been here a whole year at that point. But I didn't do a good job early on documenting events and pictures. So this was actually taken by one of our leaders, Lynette Menon, who was on the trip. She just snapped a very candid photo, but it did catch us in a good light. Like just
it's nice to have those.
Long hair, no gray hair, and just having a good time loving students and getting started in this crazy ministry. Yeah.
So I've known you for a long time now and went to seminary together, obviously, started there.
Yeah.
And I think when I started staff, I didn't realize the many hairstyles of Paul like you've had over the years. And so I forget how I was exposed. There's some, I think it was your ordination. Sure. I think we had all these pictures of you over your ordination, and I thought, oh man, that's a lot of hairstyles.
Yeah, much to the chagrin of many people in the church, I have had a lot of different hairstyles, never with the intent of irritating anyone. It's just left to my own devices, I'm pretty lazy.
Yeah.
And so to get long hair, you don't have to do anything. And when you cut it off, you don't have to take care of it, but it keeps growing. I'm fortunate at this stage of life to have a full head of hair.
Okay,
others,
that's a jab.
I've seen others younger than me who don't.
Right, yeah, okay, the jabs keep coming. That's
Not naming names.
Some of us keep it short on purpose. You know, we like it short and
aerodynamic.
My kids definitely went through the whole, because now if I grow it out enough, it like only grows here. And so they can picture like the cartoon guy that no hair up here, just head of here. And so Joel said I should do that. I said, absolutely not. Yeah. But I hope they're blessed with better hair than me.
Yeah. You know, speaking of hair and things like that, I've been on staff here for 20 years, but like I go back to 1993. My parents came here as invited guests for a Christmas concert. And in January of 94, so after Christmas break, I started coming to Sunday school. at this church. And it's really funny because at that stage in life, growing up in a military household, my dad would only let me have short hair or a flat top.
Oh, really?
And so in May of '94, I was baptized here the same day my parents became members, and I have the worst looking like crew cut. And I thought it was cool. It wasn't until I was in my 30s that my mom saw the picture and she's like, "Why did you have a flat top? That was such a bad hairstyle."
That's great.
So the many hairstyles of Paul actually started in the '90s. So.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Well, they followed you all these years through the ministry, the life of ministry here. Yeah. And so, baptized here the same day you guys became members.
Yep.
You were a camp counselor for a while. That kind of launched you into ministry. But talk about just those early days, your heart for ministry, because you've been around students for a long time and ministry for a long time. Where did that all kind of spark? It all started here. I didn't know what it meant to not be a church kid. Yes. I've been fortunate over the years to have many people speak into my life. And just to give you an idea, I think it was early middle school. The choir here would go out on tour in the spring, and they do a spring musical at churches around the Siouxland area. And I got requested to be like the camera operator. Like we would record these on VHS tapes. And so I went on one of these events. It might've been over to Salem Lutheran in Dakota City or something. And I get back from it, get dropped off at the church after the event, and we don't have cell phones in 90 whatever. And I'm at the church and it's locked up because it's a Sunday afternoon. And Clint and Inez Zinter, there are some people watching this who will remember Clint and Inez. They're faithful members here who would every Sunday be part of a team that would go out and visit people who identified as first-time visitors. Okay. Well, they were coming back to the church to fill out some of their records from the day. And I'm just this awkward 7th grader standing outside the church doors with no ride. And Clint says, "We'll give you a ride home." And so from such an early age, I just associated with my life is to be a life that is showing up around this place. And it continued through high school, just volunteering. Mike Hansen and I, when I was in high school, led a confirmation group. And that went really well. That relationship continues on to this day. And he was even my son Nathan's small group leader. And he'll be my son's group leader next year along with me. And so,
let's say some other names of people who should be small group leaders that can't say no.
Yeah, I think Mike Davis is another good one.
Right.
The list can go on.
Jay Crable.
Jay Crable would be an outstanding. Jeff Croston. Anyway. But that's good. So meaningful people in your life throughout that time.
Absolutely. And so that I didn't know that you could work in a church when I knew there were pastors and like Bobby Nutt, who was my youth director when I first started coming to church. I didn't know she got paid to work at a church. I just thought she was a really cool adult that had an office here.
Right.
And it was just outside what's Charity's office now. That used to be the youth director's office. Bobby said to me, "You're going to go into youth ministry someday." I didn't know what that meant. I was just a middle school kid, and I just kept showing up. I just kept showing up to what we had going on. Harvey Raby sometimes reminds me that in the year 2000, I was on a committee with him and others of the church to dream and vision of what the next 10 years could look like here. Yeah. We called it Vision 2000. Is so cutting edge.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, especially since we didn't know 2000 would exist. Because Y2K we thought was going to be maybe the end of it. So that's good.
And so over and over again, the call to ministry just kind of happened because people kept calling it out in me. And even my getting to camp was through Morningside Lutheran. We were having a weekend retreat here where we invited camp down to lead it all. And I was working as a janitor while going to college. So I was working evenings, but I'd get off and I'd come and help with this weekend retreat. And once the retreat wrapped up, Carrie Seibold at the time said, you should really think about coming to work at camp. All because they just saw me like interacting with middle schoolers. And it wasn't because I had this grand, elaborate plan. It was just, this is what you do in the body of Christ. You show up and participate, you love, you care for people. And without even knowing it, I was being formed for ministry. I had no idea. It was just living life.
I love that because that speaks to what I believe outside looking in, your philosophy of ministry, showing up. You talk about showing up. We've talked about that a lot. You were in high school ministry for a long time, and that's, I would say, not speaking for you, but one of your primary components about high school ministry, show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So even going back to the beginning, it's kind of wild that my first 5 years in full-time ministry at Morningside Lutheran, overseeing high school ministry, we were off-site. We were in a strip mall, 2 locations. We were in right next to the State Farm office in the Spalding Center, and we were too loud for their telemarketer, so we lasted a month. Oh boy! And then moved down to next to the Dollar Tree, next to Hy-Vee, and we spent 4 years in there. Yeah. And for 4.5, 5 years, I basically ran a solo ministry. Like I had an office here, and but all the ministry stuff happened down there, and it was just amazing. We were growing. I was reporting back. We have 80, 90 high school kids showing up on Wednesdays. Yeah, and it was great because this congregation had been so used to seeing high school youth in the building.
So it was a different kind of paradigm at that time.
Yeah. And so I'll never forget a couple elder gentlemen in the congregation, men who'd been leaders, called my bluff one time. They just I don't think that's happening. Yep. So they showed up on a Wednesday night. Yeah. It was great. Lloyd Pippett and Al Welding. And I remember it as clear as day. I was up front talking to this group of kids, and there was one door into the power line space, and they came and they stood just inside that door and just watched for like 10 minutes, didn't say a word, and they left. And I was terrified because I thought, I'm going to get in trouble for this because this looks like chaos. Yeah. A little over a week later, I'm walking again down this hallway, the same one where Bobby said to me, you're going to be a youth director. And Al Welding, he stops me in the hallway and he says, kid, and I think he called everyone kid, but he called me kid. He's like, kid, I was wrong and I apologize. You're doing a good job.
That's awesome.
And in that moment, I'm like, what I do looks different, but it's getting noticed. Not because of anything special I'm doing, but because God is truly at work in the people in this building and in the students at Powerline. And it was in that moment, too, I started to realize, like, it's cool having your own ministry of sorts that's off-site, but there's something even more powerful about a multi-generational approach to making sure our high school kids are growing up around people who have been in the faith their whole lives. Yeah. And so that we got evicted because the landlord was letting us just use the space, which is crazy. But eventually a rental company wanted to use it and pay real rent. So we got moved back to the church.
Well, that's an okay reason to get evicted, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You followed up with you're doing some good things, and then you get evicted. Yeah. So, but
and that's put us back here ever since. And as I've shifted roles and get to speak into some of this now, it keeps coming back to that of like, if we can keep encouraging students, and as I've gotten older, it goes beyond students, believers, to keep showing up. Yeah. In every season of life, whether it feels like the bottom's falling out or you're on the mountaintop experience, if we keep showing up with one another, Jesus Christ is built up and the world sees that. They see how we love one another. And so it's messy sometimes. We mess up a lot, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, Jesus is holding this church together. He has been for over 100 years. And
absolutely.
He works in spite of us sometimes, and I'm living proof of that.
That's right. Yeah, that's great. I mean, you use that word multi-generational, and I think that's one of the things that I think drew me to Morningside Lutheran long ago, because I grew up in a multi-generational church where you're going to see a lot of young families and older, more wise than us families, and you get all of that. And that's, I think, it's the picture of the church, of who we are in doing this together. Yeah,
absolutely. It is. It's all about being together. And a hallmark for me, and we touched on this a little bit, is just staying consistent, even when you don't have the answers. So I joke with people often, because I've been here for so long now, like, that picture you saw earlier of me with the Dorito in my mouth or the weird hair.
Right.
I understand there is a segment of this congregation who still sees me that way.
Sure.
And it's hard to walk down the hall and see executive pastor, because I even walk in and go, who is this guy?
It's come a long way.
Yeah. And that's a testament to God in his work in our lives, and to this congregation of staying committed and staying faithful, even when it's like, you're still here, Part of what makes this so beautiful for me is that I can honestly say to people, I show up in hoodies and I look like I'm still a teenager, but then I get to step into meaningful parts of people's lives, like funerals and weddings, and put to use the gifts that God has refined in me through my time in seminary, through my time of walking with some of these families for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's the most humbling thing for me, because at the end of the day, like, I might not know all the like ins and outs of just like how to be the most like GQ professional looking executive. But at the end of the day, I know the Lord has called me to pastor and to shepherd people. And I get to do that while getting to have my finger on so many aspects of what's going on here, all the while getting to live out like what gives me joy and what my gifting is. And that's to be an encourager. So if I can I tell our audience, I'm not going to break the fourth wall and look at the camera.
That's right. That is the fourth wall right there. That's right. Yeah, you can. I break it every once in a while, and that's fine, because they are there.
Yeah. So without puffing you up too much.
Good. Please don't.
I just remember some of our early conversations, and mine specifically to you, of just saying, I see my role here is just making your life easier.
Yeah.
And I don't always know what that looks like, but that gives me so much joy. So when people are commenting like on your social stuff about like things we're doing and things that they're giving you praise for, it actually fills my cup up, because I'm like, I don't need to be the voice up there preaching every week or whatever. I'm happy behind the scenes, kind of connecting dots and going, let's do this and let's do that. Or, hey, have you thought about this? Or my favorite thing to do for people who have gotten to know me is to say no.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, you do like that.
I do. And if I can take a moment just to kind of explain that, because it can come off kind of harsh sometimes, like, oh, Paul just doesn't want to do anything, or he just wants to kibosh everything. I am a cautious optimistic.
Yeah.
And so I always want us as a team, as a church, as leaders, to pull back just a little bit and ask the why, or process a little longer before we jump headlong into stuff.
Which makes a good team.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of this looks like a really good idea. If without that pause, let's think of the other sides of this. We're going to go and we're going to move forward in that direction, which is appreciative. So, yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, like with your ideas, I say no right away, but we still come around to them. And I think that's the uniqueness of my role, is that I get to be kind of that outside voice a little bit, to go, hold on, have we thought about this? And if we have, then I'm okay being the fool and going, well, I didn't, but I'm glad you did. So let's move forward.
Yeah.
And as I work with teams around here, there has been a season of just what some have said feels like pulling back a little bit, because we've talked about in our vision of wanting to build strong relationships, strong communities, strong faith, first and foremost, that sometimes we get distracted and we get into all these other things. And so as we understand our vision of being that of faith, relationships, and community, we've got to be bold in saying there's some things that we've done a really long time, but they're not actually adding to what we're doing here. So it's okay in the life cycle of the church and then the life cycle as a follower of Christ to say, we're going to lay that down, because what does the Lord do anytime there's a perceived death or ending of something? He brings about resurrection.
Yep.
And so it's when we lay down some of these things that it's like, oh, but we've always done it that way.
Yeah.
I know. My heart wants to continue doing some of that,
I know,
too.
and it was meaningful. And there were some meaningful aspects and seasons in what was done before.
Absolutely. It always allows us the opportunity to see God bring about something new and something different. And this season that I sense we're in, and we kind of discuss, like, I feel like we're on the cusp of God doing something completely new and different, but uniquely Morningside Lutheran. And that's been the beauty in my 30 plus years of being here, is that when we try something new, we might not get it right. I think of the first time we ever did the Orpheum, and from a production side of things, like knowing how everything was supposed to go, there were so many things that just went quote unquote wrong. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there were 2,600 people of Morningside Lutheran standing together, professing their love for Jesus through saying the Lord's Prayer. And it's like, you know what? That's the win. That's the beautiful thing. And that's us. Like, we don't have to strive after these other things. We just have to be who God has made us. And we are so unique and twisted and full of joy and so beautiful. Yeah. But we're also a bunch of sinners trying to figure this out.
Our motto around here, we're trying our best.
We are trying our best.
It's very evident. And that's all just a great setup for what we did over a year ago, is establishing this position of executive pastor. Yeah. And I think it's helpful for those to see and to understand. I mean, this is a position in which it's working the day-to-day, the nuts and bolts of ministry of everything that takes place. And there's a lot of things that happen so that I can lead in the way that I can lead, the way that God has gifted me to lead and gifted you to lead in the staff and the day-to-days, which has been outstanding.
Yeah, it's so cool because, again, I don't claim to have the corner on the market on how to be the best executive. Yeah. I'm a youth group kid who grew up in the church who just kept following Jesus around the corners.
Sure.
And even how this position came, I was just talking to a person, my coach right now, actually, bringing up this position of going, hey, we're talking in CCVA about this. What do you think? And where I was sitting going, yeah, I think it would be good if we had one of those. And you're like, no, they're thinking you should do it.
Right.
And that speaks to the call of ministry again, that, we can feel the internal call to go and be something, but it's not until you have that external call, a body of believers saying, we see you doing that as well. Yeah. And that's what makes pastoring so cool. And you got to experience it in coming here. Yep. You felt that call to go and to come. And then you put the fleece out there, and then the body said, well, we see you here too. Yeah. And that's where that meshing, that collision of heaven and earth come together. And, I've got to experience that in my own unique way, like not a congregation calling me to be their lead pastor, but feeling leaders of the church affirm to you, like, hey, we think Paul can help in this role. And it's been so life-giving. It's been very challenging at times because we're in an older building where a lot of things break. And I feel like I come to a lot of meetings going,
That's right.
I'm so sorry. This is going to be expensive. But knowing that God has placed that in me to go, let's solve some of these things so that, when bringing it full circle, the next generation of believers have a place to call home where they get to keep showing up and get to have youth leaders and children's directors and pastors that believe in them enough to say, hey, if you're bored and you just show up here, like, you're welcome here. I hung out in this church. Like, George Starr was our custodian for the longest time.
Yep.
Again, that's a shout out to a generation that will remember George. But growing up, this building was always open. We didn't have to worry about alarms or locks.
Sure,
My buddy
back with the open door policy.
One of my best friends lived up on Stone and Newton. And on Friday nights, if I was spending the night, we would come down here, and it was 10 o'clock at night, and we'd walk right in and play basketball. And it'd be, a half hour later, George would walk in and he'd say, all right, kids, you got to go home.
Yep.
Like, this was so formative. And I know the culture's different now, and kids are busy and everybody's busy, but we have this call to keep this place open so that those who feel that know that the doors are open. Come in. You're welcome here.
We've said that so often, that this building, and should be, as we are called as a church to be a blessing to this community. We want the building to be a blessing because we are the stewards of what God has given us. But we have to steward it well. There are things we have to do. We hear the trucks right now working on our parking lot, and those are projects that we don't sit and dwell over. We're blessed to have a great parking lot that hosts hundreds of people here on a weekend and throughout the week, and not just to members or on Sunday mornings, but open to this community. And that's a lot to manage.
Yeah. I'm so fortunate in my role in the time that I've been here to be able to be a voice that can look back. And again, I only span, 30 some years of here, and knowing that Morningside's roots go even deeper than that. But during those 30 plus years, there's been a lot of good, beautiful things that have happened here. And I can speak to those as encouragement to say, we don't have to go back and recreate that, but we stand upon the faithfulness of those who've come before us. And as we stand on that, as we do our best, and as we trust the Holy Spirit to lead and guide and empower us, may the next generation be able to look back at what we've done here through Jesus Christ and stand on our shoulders, so that the community of Siouxland would be blessed, so that people who don't know Jesus would know him in a real way, and ultimately that the kingdom would be built up. That's what I get most excited about. And you and I get to have those conversations so often, and I get to sit back and cheer as you bring that as a voice to this body. And it's really cool. And I'm hoping everyone from Morningside Lutheran is watching this. But if you don't have a church home yet, I would invite you into that, to come be a part of something that is greater than one person. It is a collective of broken, sinful people trying their best to figure out how to best follow Jesus, how to take him seriously and take ourselves not too seriously. So when that happens, God shows up in powerful ways. We see people healed. We see new life. We've been baptizing people like crazy, and it's so cool. I've got, through this position, opportunities to baptize family members. I've got opportunities to baptize kids who belong to kids that were in my youth group.
No, I think you could go back. You've been here long enough that you have probably baptized someone, you've confirmed that same person, you've married them, and now you've baptized their kids.
And if I'm still here to bury them, something went terribly wrong.
Right, exactly. Or you just got good blood. But, well, Paul, it's been awesome to sit and chat with you, scratch a surface of what you do. I appreciate you and your leadership here. And I think that just to circle back on that comment you made, that I think is a maybe lesser talked about thing, is the call that a pastor goes through, the twofold part. The sense of call to feel like the Lord is leading you to, and that leaders have discerned. And I know that people in this church have just discerned that leadership out of you, out of me, out of the staff that we have here. And man, I'm just blessed to have it as a staff.
Yeah, that's good.
So
that's
cool.
Good.
Thanks for being on, and it's good. More fun to come.
Yeah, let's do this again. Never.
But you're right. Yeah, there you go. And end it like that. Thanks for listening today to our Faith, Relationship, and Community podcast. For more episodes, check out our website, morningsidelutheran.com, or on our social media platforms. We appreciate you joining. God bless.